Welcome back to another episode of Different Walk Serious Talks. You're back here with Autumn, Keisha, Farah, and myself, Jessica. And today we're going to talk about art. Does art imitate life or does life imitate art? We're going to talk about the different types of art that we appreciate and the types that maybe we don't like quite so much. And how does life imitate art? Or do we really think that art imitates life and it just becomes that way because of lived experience? Does anybody want to start out?
I think this is a great topic. I think it kind of goes both ways. I think a lot of times art tends to imitate life, like that's where we get our inspiration from, and then we build on top of it. But there are times when I do see it's like I watch something or I read something and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is happening in real life right now. It's playing out in front of our eyes." So, I think it takes turns, like it's almost cyclical.
That's a good way to put it. Um, I'm an avid book reader. As you guys know, as I've mentioned before, I don't really watch TV very much. Um, but I do read books, I watch anime, and I love going to like art galleries. And of course, I have my own business, creating designs. So, that type of art, which is, completely different. So, art can take so many forms, and I like to see how it impacts different people, and how what people take out of the same thing. We could be watching the same show or looking at the same design and take something completely different from exactly the same
Absolutely.
thing. So, um, so Autumn, what kind of art do you like?
All kinds.
More specifically, I know you're a horror movie buff.
Oh God. I love me some horror movies, thrillers, crime dramas, crime
Side note,
shows,
Side
sci-fi.
note, did you finally watch The Longest Walk?
No, I haven't been able to watch it yet. Haven't.
Girl,
I'm working on
that
it. I think I
that
want
is
to go
true
see it at a
horror.
drive-in. I think I want to go to a drive-in
Yeah,
and go see
you
it.
did mention that. Oh
Yeah,
girl,
so I
that
gotta
that's the
work
real
on
horror
that.
for you. I'm still traumatized. I'm still scarred.
I love me some Stephen King. But I don't know. I come from, I guess, a artsy family. My dad used to be a painter. Um, and right now, for therapeutic reasons, I have a TikTok account. I am a goddess. Created it during a stressful time, and I don't know. I'm continuing it. It's kind of therapeutic, and it reaches other people in a way. So that is the weirdest part because I was doing it for myself. But then other people like, I like your stuff, or it resonates with other people. So, I'm like, okay, I continue to do this. But I do believe art imitates life. Life imitates art. A good example we was talking about before we started, Markeisha, was the Handmaiden's Tale. I believe that parts of that is playing out, and we got to be careful because if we're not mindful of, you know, what's going on around us and thinking it can't happen, we are going to be in a serious world of hurt. So,
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
yes, it's a lot of stuff that it's like, how can I say? It's like Hollywood kids. It's like a crystal ball. They create artwork behind certain things, but there's a deeper meaning behind it, and it's formed as entertainment, but in all actuality, it has some truth behind it.
And that's the part that gets me because a lot of the work that we see coming out of Hollywood or just out of creative spaces is usually inspired by stuff they're seeing right now, right? Or maybe inspired by things that they're learned about in the past, and they take it to a different level, a different extreme, and say, "Wouldn't this be crazy if this happened?" But it's not too far removed from our reality, and then before you know it, it becomes our reality. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I look at that movie Idiocracy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it basically talks about the dumbing down of, our culture and society, and where everybody just are consumers. They're constantly consuming entertainment, food, and that's it. And then before you know it, their government's being run by like a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
You can
And
see
sorry.
I don't watch anything. I actually was
okay,
just
so if you
reading the Handmaid's Tale summary so that I can like follow.
girl,
You cheating?
it's
It's a
coming
lot.
to us
It's a
all. It's
lot.
coming into us all.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
It's a lot.
But if you look at Idiocracy and then you look at some of the things that are happening now, you're like, oh my God, was this a prophecy? What is going on? And it's just like, this is what happens when we are not vigilant and we are not very like intentional about how we consume things and what we allow to slide, like it was funny at the time, but now it's starting to look real serious. Like, wait a minute, because we need to be very diligent. I think, Autumn, you used a word in the last episode. We need to be stewards, right? We can't just let things happen. We have to be very intentional and be making sure that we are actually guiding this ship for the betterment, of our communities. So I just think it's really crazy. You mentioned calling it a crystal ball. Sometimes I think they're just holding up a mirror. It's just a glimpse into the very near future if we're
Yep.
not careful. And
Yep.
I will also like to say one of my favorite facts from that movie Idiocracy is that the wardrobe design people try to find like the dumbest looking shoe possible to feature in this film. And they were like, Crocs. Crocs are so stupid. This is going to be the.
I was just like laughing when you said it. I was
You
like,
already knew that?
Farrah has literally said that to me. She was like,
Yes.
"Do you know that?" And I was like,
Yes.
"I did not know. I hated Crocs before, and I shan't wear them."
That's what
I
was
mean,
wrong
they're
with
Well,
Crocs.
I
comfortable.
mean,
They're
They're
so
They're
ugly.
comfortable.
comfortable. I
they're
man, I used to
Crocs
rock
are
They're
them
comfortable.
ugly.
easy to put
Crocs
on.
Crocs
They're
are
so good
ugly.
for toddlers.
like you just walking on air. They feel so
So
comfortable and
okay,
squishy.
Okay, I didn't
toddlers.
say it. I
So
didn't
for
say it.
toddlers,
It wasn't me.
I get it because
It's
toddler
so
shoes
easy.
make no sense anyway. Like toddlers have shoes that are shaped like a castle. Like are you gonna wear that like as the norm? Probably not. Toddler shoes make sense to be Crocs. Adults wearing Crocs outside of shower shoes is kind of weird to me. But
Look,
you know, you like it, I love
I
it.
was
Not for me
Croc
though.
queen.
For
Fuck
you.
it.
And during
Please don't
pregnancy,
buy
they
me
were like
Crocs.
some of the most comfortable
Crocs.
shoes
I
you could
don't care.
find.
To
Like,
wear to work.
They are very
Look,
comfortable. They are
Comfortable.
very
people do wear them to
comfortable.
Exactly.
work. People wear them to work,
I
and I'm like,
I work in a
they're
oh,
hospital.
really put on in the
that's
medical field because
oh,
they're
I
that
bet, I
comfortable.
bet
Exactly. You
They're
standing on
very
your feet
So,
all day.
comfortable. But here's the thing. They got holes in them. If something that you don't
they
want
do.
splashes on your foot,
Ew.
Well, that's when you don't wear them in
on
the
the other hand, if your
But
feet
people
water.
sweaty
do.
and stinky, though, it lets
I
some
like
air
this.
out.
I
But
mean,
hey,
yeah,
isn't that the
yeah,
thing, right? But
yeah,
even
I
with what we're
guess.
doing right now, we're doing a podcast, and 20 years ago, this would not have been a form of art possible. We are sitting here in our homes. I'm
Yep.
putting my daughter for a nap right now. She's shaking on my lap. Y'all doing whatever y'all doing at home. I'm not wearing any makeup. That definitely wouldn't have been accepted back in the day. Like, things are changing. And
Yeah,
this is a form of art that I never would have thought possible. So art changes and it imitates, and sometimes it forms to what we need. So music is a huge form of art that's been around for God knows how long. They found instruments in every single culture you could find. All different cultures have different types of drums, different types of wind instruments, different types of pianos, all these different instruments that come together with different cultures, and we make this wonderful music. And you don't even need any words with music. It's phenomenal that art can be so expressive. And even like Jessica was saying, she may not watch that much TV. I didn't used to either. Here and there, I yesterday I was in a slightly up and down mood. So when I was on Disney Plus, I could not find what to watch. And I watched a bunch of old videos from when I was growing up, like DuckTales and Tailspin
love
and
Wow, remember
different
DuckTales.
videos. And
those?
really, they're really not for kids nowadays because they're violent. But I did find one particular video that I want y'all to watch if y'all get the chance. It's called Loop, or maybe The Loop. Bobby? And it's about an autistic child and another child having to communicate without communicating. It's a very interesting watch. It's about 13 minutes long. And for me, it hit home because I have three autistic godchildren. And I know if their mom watched it, it would hit home for her. It's a form of art that I wouldn't expected to see. But it was really heartening to see that you could see that type of communication because you could see that the boy was struggling at first. He did not know what to do. He was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna put her with me?" Like, freaking out. But he figured it out by the end of the video. Within those 13 minutes, and I know it was like their whole day, but he was able to figure it out as a child, and that's something that we could do as adults as well. A lot of
Yeah.
adults can't even communicate with autistic people, and it's sad to say because back in the day there was a lot of different um, misinformation about autism. And it's something that's not really new, but seems to be fairly new because now there's a lot of information, especially with social media. And even Florida recently came into being one of the top in the nation to help with autism. They actually have like so much programming. They have where you can do work programs for your children. So that form of art is helping with communicating how people see things differently, even with autism or okay. Give me a
Removing the
minute, guys. My phone
stigma.
went flying.
No, it's all good. But yeah, just removing the stigma around things that often, like Farah was saying, appearing on camera without makeup would have been stigmatized back in the day. Autism, all kinds of things that
Yeah, I
we
thought you were gonna cooperate.
may not have purview in our everyday lives now get to be seen in the forefront and through art done in a beautiful, humanizing way. So yeah, art serves so many purposes, and like Farah was saying, it's totally universal. It doesn't matter what landmass you look on. You go as far back to the beginnings of time, you're gonna find that humans were creating art in some way, shape, or form. So it transcends space, it transcends time, and I just think it's beautiful.
For me, one of my favorite books probably shaped the way that I look at a lot of things. Um, it's called Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card, and a lot of people have read or seen Ender's Game. And so Ender's Game is the first book in the series. There are a bunch of books in that series. So lots of people aren't really familiar with anything but the first book. Ender's Game is great, but Speaker for the Dead was definitely like mind blowing. For me, just even the concept of a speaker for the dead. So when people die in general, like and this is not even just in the book, when people die, people tend to use really flowery words. Oh, they were just such a great person. And oh, you shouldn't speak badly of the dead. But nothing changes about that person because they died. Their past, their history doesn't change. So in the book, you have a speaker for the dead. And the speaker for the dead goes and they do a kind of a deep dive on how that person lives and they speak at their funeral. And so sometimes that resolves issues that happened in their life. And specifically in the book, there was a gentleman who he was a speaker for the dead for, who was beating on his wife, but in public he looked the perfect guy, right? And so he was hiding that he was beating on his wife, treating his family terribly, but in public, he was this, like, pillar of truth and nobility, and he was just,
larger
you
than
know.
life.
Exactly. So that really struck me because for me, I don't want anybody speaking something at my funeral that isn't what I was in life. But on the turn of the same coin, I want my life to be lived in a way that if you speak at my funeral, then you're saying the truth. And those things are good things. Those things are things that have brought happiness to people, that have brought joy to people, that have been a positive influence, a positive impact on other people's lives. So that really like shaped the way that I look at things. And so like a really good book, a really good piece of art, like really does change your thinking. It changes the way that you approach things. So that's one big one for me, and of course, I'm huge on romance and stuff, so that's a
Another
different
really good thing about books that I recently noticed. So like Jessica said, we've always loved books in our family, and I'm a huge book person for my daughter. She has a library in almost every room in our house, even in Tia J's room. And so what I try to do is I try to read to her all the time. And there are some books that I tend to read every day. The other day, she decided to read the book, and she recited this book almost word for word. And it's not that long of a book. It's called The Rabbit Listened. It's actually a really good read. If you ever get the chance, it's about a little person because you don't know if it's a girl or a boy. It never says if it's a he or a she. The person's name is Taylor, and the whole story goes throughout it, saying Taylor did this, Taylor did that. Built this amazing thing. It comes crashing down, and listening to my daughter be able to recite this book word for word, she barely even does that with TV. She does music. She knows a lot of songs, especially for a 2.5-year-old. She can sing so many songs, it's ridiculous. But for me to hear that she's been listening to the book, just the overwhelming feeling of being proud. I couldn't even, I don't even know how to get it out. Like, I wish I had caught it on video so I could send it to y'all. Maybe I'll catch it at some point. It was just the cutest little thing. But she's only 2.5, and she's paying that much attention to these books I'm reading her. So of course I want to make sure that when I read to her, that I'm using something that I want to apply to her life, especially because she's not fully understanding everything we're reading. I do feel like she gets the gist of most things, but again, she's only 2.5. So I don't know what she's picking up. So if I read her something violent, and I did used to read her anything I could get my hands on. I've read her some books when she was younger that I probably shouldn't have. There was one book that Jessica gave me that it was good. I can't really remember the name of it right now, but it had a lot of curse words in it. And when I first started reading, I was like, oh, I don't know if I should keep reading this. But like 10 pages in, I couldn't stop.
They say
And it
when they're
ruined my
really
whole
young,
weekend.
it doesn't matter what you read as long as you read it in a voice that makes them feel,
Yeah.
comforted and stuff.
The sing
She
songy
don't
And
voice.
remember
This
none
I
of
is
them
remember
cuss
all the teeth and
words.
nail, all the
yeah.
bad stuff that
She
went
don't
on.
she don't
You
remember
know
none of
what's
them cuss
weird?
words.
Where these actors and these actresses that play these parts in these
Yeah.
shows in these movies, and let's just say they was like a drug dealer. I remember there was one instance, this was like years ago, like a decade ago. What's that? The Wire. And it was a female actress. I think she used to play like the drug dealer. I never watched The Wire, but apparently she had like a role that was like, you know, questionable, as far as in the black community. But in real life, I think she got arrested for something pertaining to that. I'm not sure. Or there was another guy, young up and coming actor in a nice movie. I can't remember the name of it, but he played like this real grimy person in the movie, and in the real life, he did some real grimy things. So I'm
Okay.
like,
That can be a
Sometimes
thing.
sometimes I watch certain actors and I be like, this was just too good. And now I don't trust you.
No
Okay.
doubt.
I don't want to be alone. I'm going to tell you right now, Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't want to be in a room alone with him.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to
I
run
don't.
into him in a dark
Daniel
alley.
Day-Lewis.
Okay. He
what?
was in
Okay,
this
what
one
roles
movie.
has he played? I don't know. I'm good with the
I'm going to tell you the
Oh,
one
I
that
see.
really
Yeah.
traumatized me. There Will Be Blood. And there is some blood in the movie, but it's actually about a guy that ends up with oil being found on his land. Now, if you struck oil, you
Oh,
was
kind
rich
of. It's
back
kind of
then.
old movie, kind of
Girl, yes.
westernish. Oh, and he
Yes.
he was crazy as hell, right? Because
Y-
he
yes.
was abusing his son, right?
Yes. And ever since
That's a
then,
real thing. That people will be like, nah, I don't like them now. No. But the
and I know
you
Daniel
know,
Day-Lewis is a wonderful, kind, sweet man in real life, but I will always see him in that light. So now I'd be like, nah. Daniel Day-Lewis could be like, look, I made you a cupcake. It's your favorite cupcake. I'm like,
Nah,
I don't know
you
what you
got
did
some
that
brat
cupcake on.
poison in there.
I'm sorry, Daniel Day-Lewis, whoever you are.
No offense. I'm
You
sure
look
you're very
familiar when I looked
nice,
you up,
but I'm
but
watching you. I'm watching you, Daniel
so
Day-Lewis.
apparently you have perfected your craft, is what she's saying.
You did so good that I
Yes,
am so
You're doing
scared of
yes.
well.
you. Do you also, I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones, but that took over. That was
I
a cult
haven't watched it.
classic.
I
Jo-
never watched it yet.
okay, people in the comments, please don't come for Autumn. It's not her fault. Leave
I'm
her
not
alone.
gonna watch it. So
Jessica
I
definitely cannot
shan't.
watch it because Jessica's gonna cry so
No.
many times. You can't
Yeah.
watch it. Autumn, get it together.
So many people told me to watch it. I was into
It's
Mad Men
so
at the
good.
time. I was into Mad
It
Men at
was
the time.
so good. See, that also took over. That took over for a long time too. But the guy that played Joffrey received so much hate in real life because he was an
My
awful person in the show. Awful. And he was so convincing that people in real life were like, F you, man. I hope everything bad happens to you and you only. And he stopped
That's
acting. He was like, I can't do this
terrible.
no more. I know.
That's
and
Sometimes
not
actually
art
just
be too
insane.
good.
movies, music.
Sometimes art be too good.
Our music, our beloved Tupac Shakur, he was always professing and rapping about death, 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 and
And
it
then, yeah, it
befell him.
visited him way
I
too
mean,
soon.
that's terrible, but so that's a
Here's the
little
thing
different.
though.
He was actually
Tupac
living
never
that kind
got
of
in
life.
trouble. No, Tupac never got in trouble. He was never arrested by the police. He was never in that life until he actually started becoming
Doing hip hop.
famous. He never was arrested before. He
He
never
was like
had a rap sheet.
he was a
But then,
scholarly kind of person in a way.
yes, Tupac Shakur is actually a relative of Asada Shakur.
It's very unfortunate that he decided to get into that life, like, for the reality of the music. But
No,
It's
he
not
got
that he
into
was
kinda
the
like,
music.
he just got into music. And then there was
Yeah,
beef
and then it
happening with the,
just
okay.
yeah,
So,
that's how that started. It wasn't that he
I
was
can't
suddenly
say that
now
I know tons of the history, so I won't speak on it
but that is
as much.
art.
yeah.
I've
That
read a
is
couple of
art
articles here
imitating
and there, and
life, or
that's
life imitating art.
yeah.
Yes,
That is
That's
a
indeed.
primary
terrible. Then
example.
that's really
That is an
Yes.
that's
example.
really terrible that that would
Mhm.
be the way that he ends up, finding his end because he's associated with that because of the music that he makes. That's really terrible.
Yeah. I mean, he was just speaking about the struggles that people see in these cities. And he made it in an artful way to humanize people. Brenda had a baby and so on and so forth. Dear Mama.
Yes,
He wasn't
yes.
trying to exploit anyone. He was telling these stories in an artful, poetic way. And, then that beef happened between him and some other people, and it all spiraled out of control. But he never had a rap sheet. He never got in trouble with the law, not a day before. And
He was
I just
very
want to say
intelligent.
that very intelligent young man, and he is actually a blood relative of Asada Shakur. So he was brought up in a household that was all about, self-determination, loving yourself, revolutionaries. And that's how he decided to make his imprint on the world, is to speak about people's struggle in a beautiful, artful way. So just to try to
Now
bring
I
it
want to
down to just hip hop, I feel like it's not a true characterization of what he was doing.
Yeah.
Now I wanna learn more about him because I've watched, like, a couple of, like, shorter documentaries and that sort of thing, but it kinda focused on around the time that he was, passing, so, like, right before and right after. So, like, he was already embroiled in the beef, and they would, like,
And
say,
so
"Oh,
much
yeah, he was
violence
hanging
and
out with."
stuff.
Yes.
Like if you was a
So
Yeah.
true fan of him, you will remember where you was when it happened. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's how deeply impactful it was when he, had passed away. But I got
And
another
not to say
question.
that he was perfect, he was
No, who
problematic.
was?
There was
Oh,
true
yeah.
Hollywood stories that came out, and we was like, "Oh, Tupac, what?" But, his art was
oh my.
his
It moved
his
people.
art
It
was
moved
very
people.
moving. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
beyond his
And
death, and I
it
still does.
beyond his death, and so much so that it did actually start to take over his life and morphed his life into something else. And that's just the
Yeah.
power of art. That's the power of fame that comes with it. So it's definitely not something to be taken lightly,
Yeah.
for
Have
Do
sure.
you
y'all
guys
think we move
seen
into Hunger Games?
No. No.
You don't think we're gonna
No.
move into Hunger
I
Games?
don't think we're gonna move to Hunger Games. I do think that just as I've mentioned in other times, um, if y if you are not standing against it, you are standing with it. If you are
Mm,
not standing up and saying something when things happen to other people, if you are not going out and voting, if you're not, If you are not using your voice to go against all of these things that are happening, you're allowing it to happen. So it's more likely to go further into that space. And I'll just use this. Everybody knows that I do not like Donald Trump, and that
Look,
I do
like get
think
banned,
that,
okay?
huh?
Let's not get banned.
We're not gonna get banned. I don't like him, and I think that he's racist. I think that he's a bigot. I think that
Fascist.
he's a fascist, and I think that he is implementing policies that are not just bad for the Black community. They're bad for all communities
Oh,
because they're very, very divisive, right? Um, but there are tons of people who voted for him who now are like, well, it's fine. It'll work itself out. I'm just gonna not do anything,
Everything will
and
go back to
it's okay.
normal.
Everything will be fine.
Everything will go back to normal.
But you
It'll
actively
be
use your
okay.
voice to make it this way, but you're not going to actively move your voice to move the needle in the other direction.
To correct it.
Now it's not your business. Now now that people are being impacted, that people are being killed, that people are being imprisoned, that people's livelihoods are being taken away. Now, nah, I'm not really political.
It's too
Okay.
late now. You already done it. You better. What? You don't get to just step back now because it's inconvenient. No. Get in there and do the work.
Quite convenient.
Also, back
I
to what Miss
understand where you're
Autumn was
coming
saying. Hold
from.
on, wait.
I
Hold on, wait
understand where you're
now.
coming from.
Going back to what Autumn said, do we think we're moving towards the Hunger Games? Kristi Noem, it was reported by multiple different sources. Kristi Noem, the one that's over, the ICE agency, wants migrants to compete for citizenship on Hunger Games style reality show.
Shut the front door.
This was
They've been
4 months
saying
ago.
they've been saying that. Like somebody made that a joke like a couple years ago, and it keeps on making the rounds like over and over and over.
No, this is for real.
He
Trump's DHS considers
Yeah,
reality show where migrants compete.
correct.
So yeah, they so for real
So
with it. It's
I
not
don't
even
think
a
this
joke
is actually
anymore.
going to
They're like,
happen. But if this is actually proposed, that means you should know your friends. Like the people who are like, I don't agree, but I'm gonna watch it.
Look, Jess, I understand where
Please
you're
know
coming.
exactly. Please know exactly who's around you. Please know
Who
exactly.
is running the
I get you.
countries? Who's
I
running the
hear what you're
countries?
saying.
Who's
I'm
running the
telling you.
countries?
I'm telling you that all these people are like, nah, that's my friend. They got a bunch of Black friends. No, no, no. They learned Spanish in high school.
It's gonna be like
Like what?
entertainment. Just like what's the other show on
they know that
Netflix
one
that was
Bad
so
Bunny
popular?
song.
So here's something that for me, the reason why I don't watch real people, right? And this you guys know exactly the reason. I'm going to reiterate it here. I don't watch them because I feel like it impacts your ability to empathize and sympathize, and I feel like it impacts people's ability to take things seriously. When you see it on a show, when you see people being struck down, being shot, being cut, being treated badly over and over and over, it desensitizes people. And I feel like that is in general, right?
That's
Nobody
all across the
has to,
board for
and you don't,
for a
nobody
lot
has
of
to agree
things,
with me, but I would rather not input that into myself. I would
and that's
rather
a great
retain my
thing.
empathy,
That is a great
and it's
thing.
okay if not, if no, if people don't agree with that, and because I'm okay with that. But here's the thing: the fact is that we have been desensitized to so many
Others
things
suffering.
that we fail to take action when things are happening. That's why we talked about it in the last episode, or it might have been the one before that. A child will be getting kidnapped on the street. A child will be roaming the streets by themselves, and nobody says anything. They're just like, somebody should check that child.
But who would do
Because
that?
get into that.
Who
who
would
would
do
do
that? I
that? It's
remember I saw
crazy,
that
right?
happen twice. I
You were
saw
talking
two
about it.
kids. I
And
saw
guess
two kids do that. Two little baby
exactly.
boys in two different locations. They was roaming the street, and I literally stopped my car. I'm like, where's this little toddler coming from? And there was
And
a baby about 2 or 3 years old
but
wandering around
here's the
in the
thing.
street. And I'm like,
You are
where's
probably
the
not the
mama?
first car to see them.
Yeah.
People probably ignored it because that's not my business.
Somebody
That's
else will take care
somebody's
of it.
child. Somebody will take care of it. And this is the thought process that we have over and over and over. Somebody will take care of it.
You
But that's
think that
just how it
happens for
is.
Some
real?
somebody's gonna
Yes.
do
I think
I
something.
know what
some
happens.
people who have children
I
treat
experience
children
different.
terribly.
I experience
Yes.
differently.
And
Like at the football game Thomas had this past weekend,
mhm.
not this past weekend, the weekend after next. There was a little girl. She was coming from all the way from one end of the doggone football field to our end. And me and two other mothers was like, where's this little girl mama at? So I don't know where y'all seeing this stuff
So
at,
so
but
here's the
other
thing.
people
You
are
said from
seeing
the other
this.
side of the football field to you. Was there nobody between yourself and that child?
Uh,
Okay, because if you guys were the only one saying it, and so that also speaks to another thing. It's group mentality. And you see it in these videos. I saw a video of somebody who must have passed out at the wheel, and a woman like immediately got out of her car, ran, and she started to try to stop the car. And you see all these people coming out of their cars, put their car in park. Everybody's getting out. It's like 8 or 10 people. They stop the car. They're trying to help this woman, but until that one person got out of their car, nothing was going on.
It always takes
Nobody was
Everybody's
one
just
helping.
person to
watching.
make a scene for
It
other
takes
people to be like, "Oh, yes,
somebody,
it's
correct. And so there's a catalyst. And so and that goes back to how life imitates art. When you see all these things, when you see a Hunger Games style thing, right? People are like, "Oh, that's crazy. I wouldn't want anybody that I know to be on it, but I'm gonna watch it." Because you've been desensitized. You have people are allowing their brains to think, "Well, it doesn't touch me, so it's okay. It doesn't impact me
It's such a
personally,
dangerous way to
so it's
think.
fine."
It's such
It
a
it
dangerous
is
way to think. It
it is
really
because
doesn't
to have
terrifying.
matter until it
willpower to
impacts
think
me.
about this is what I'm saying. This is all a lot of the stuff that you talk about is entertainment. If you ain't got the mentality to differentiate between entertainment and real life situations, then you got some mental problems for real. Period,
How
point
much do
blank.
you see that though already? How much do you see people, like you said, people seeking affirmations online? These are not real people. Half of them are bots. You don't know these people for real. You don't know these people in real life. People seek out things online that have nothing to do with daily real life. People are the line between reality and what is virtual is blurring. And some of it is because a lot of us do virtual work. So the things that you impact, you're not seeing physically, right? You're not going into an office, you're not going to the grocery store, your groceries just appear at your door. So you're not doing these in-person things. And so yes, these are things that we saw on TV shows and movies years and years ago, right? Art imitates life, life imitates art. We go further into the future. We have cars that are not. We have hoverboards. We have things that look like the movies that we were watching, and sometimes you see them and you're like, oh, I saw that years ago on the movie. That's not impressive. It'd be impressive if it, right? Because you've been desensitized to it, and we all have. But let's take somebody who just time warped from 1980 to 2025. They'd be like, oh my
I don't know.
God,
I
right?
don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. I was born in the 80s, okay? I was born in the
Yeah,
80s,
that was
believe it
the
or not.
best times.
It was the best time,
Grow
okay?
up.
I remember growing up and being in a social studies class, and they said in the year 2000 we were going to have flying cars,
Yep.
we were going to have
Oh, I remember that.
teleportation things.
And we
If
ain't got none of
somebody
it.
if somebody had pulled me from back then and time warped me here, I'd be like, this is trash. The earth is ghetto. Where's my flying car?
Where's all my
That's it?
where's
Just
all
a
my
little
stuff?
hoverboard? That's it? Hoverboard?
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what
technically
I would
there
say. Put
is
me
a
back.
flying car.
Put me
What is
back. It was
that?
better back then. I miss the
I think
80s
it
and
could
the
also go both ways
90s.
though, Jess, because just like you don't watch anything that I watch, but I tend to watch and see everything and anything. It's funny because a few years ago when we went to go visit Keisha in Hawaii, you guys took me on a boat. Now I watch gruesome, horrible movies
It wasn't
that
just
have
any
all
boat.
the blood in the world,
Hold on,
and
wait. Hold on, wait. We got to preface this. It wasn't just any boat. It was the USS Arizona, and we went to the
oh,
Pearl
who's gonna
Harbor
get to that? Oh my
Memorial.
God, just thinking about it, dear
It
Jesus.
wasn't just any
Okay,
boat.
so
Okay.
I I have recently found out that I am too empathetic, right? And people don't really think about the difference between empathy and sympathy, but here's the thing. I can watch a movie and I can differentiate that's a movie. But when it becomes real life, when it's something history or something that happened, even if it was 5 minutes ago or if it's going to happen tomorrow, it's a different feeling in my chest, in my soul that sometimes I'm not even sure I can even handle. When I got on that boat, before we got on that boat, we were having a phenomenal time, right? All of us were kiki. Just it was such a good time. And then we get on this boat that has all this history, and this
So many lives
whoever the
lost.
poor guy was started talking and telling me the history that I didn't want to remember. Now it's not that I didn't grow up taking history classes. I took those classes. I had to write essays and stuff. But hearing him
But
say
being there
that
made
the
it more
soldiers,
real.
oh my God. And then he said something
Looking at
about
the
the soldiers
victims.
coming up with the water drops, and dear Jesus, it was so hard to stop crying. So hard.
Here's the thing though. I remember that day very vividly, and you and I actually got into a disagreement about it because you said you didn't want to know. You rather not know this stuff.
Oh my
And
God.
I said we owe it to those that had suffered through it to face it. And while I understand that you are very empathetic, the world needs that. We need people like you that are super empathetic
It
and
feels
are
like
willing to take a stand and are willing to learn the history and see the signs of when we start going in the same direction, because history repeats itself when good people do nothing. So we need good people like you that are empathetic to know and be wise and be able to say, damn, this shit's, oh, sorry. I'm supposed to try to stop cussing on this thing. Sorry, Mom. Darn, this is unacceptable, and I'll be doggoned if it happens again in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, and I also get what Jessica's saying, and I also get what Autumn's saying. Jessica, what you're saying is you are what you eat, and you don't just eat food. It's whatever you're consuming, what you're
Putting them,
putting
yeah.
on your body, and in your mental. You got to be very picky about that. And Farah, you have to be very guarded with it because you are super duper empathetic and you deal with it in a different way that Jessica deals with it. Jessica will be like, I have to limit some stuff out. You also will do the same thing when it comes to history. But what I'm saying is these things are a strength and we need stuff like that. We need people like you to have that empathy and to be bold with it and to put it into action each time, every single time. Otherwise, evil wins. So I understand you have to guard your heart. You might have to do it in doses, but don't ever just completely turn away because our planet needs it. Our society, human beings, we need it. We need it. All it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. For good people to say it's too much for me, I can't deal with it, I'm going to turn away. Or I don't, it's somebody else to do it. The somebody else is you. Even if
It's
you have to
so
do it
You
in
are that
hard.
baby
person.
steps, even if you have to do it with tears in your eyes, even if you have to do it while your heart is breaking, you still got to be the one to do it. Because if not you, then who? If not now, then when?
It makes me so
It's not
scared for
fun and
my
it's not
children,
fair.
for our children, for our future, just to see
Mm-hmm.
that kind of history. And I know, I hear what you're saying. People need to know, but maybe that's why everybody gets to remember different things. Cause boy, if I remembered that memory every day, I probably wouldn't be able to make it. But thank God I'm
Well,
forgetful,
I
and probably after
agree.
this podcast, I won't remember for a little while.
Well,
And
yes,
I do know that I need to know things for my daughter, so that way, hopefully, the world gets better for her. But I also know then there's people like you who do make the difference, who have that voice to carry on for people who, like me, keep
it's so
forgetting.
do
And every
you.
time we remember,
You
it's
make a
just
difference
a whole
also.
new painful ordeal. Just
You make a
but
difference
that
also
like
by sharing your very unique perspective, by making sure you're raising your daughter in a way that is also empathetic and understanding. You are making a difference. So please don't ever discount that. And please don't ever think that, that's what I'm trying to do is discount the impact that you make because it is very real. Your circle of influence is so much better because you're in it. So please know that you make a difference. Even if it's in your forgetful, bold, I'm going to tell you how it is way, I promise there's an impact there. You know what I'm saying? And what you mentioned is very important too. And I've thought that time and time again is that everybody has their own fight. Okay. You might remember certain things and certain things stick out to you and it's important to you. And I'm going to remember certain things that are important to me and stick out to me, and I'm going to stand up for those certain things. Not everybody has a heart for animals, but I thank God that there are people that are there that make it a point to advocate for animals and that they're treated in a way that is kind and decent. Not everybody has a heart for those that are experiencing homelessness, but I'm so thankful that there are those that do, and they show up to those volunteer opportunities. They cook those meals. I'm so thankful. I can't fight every fight. None of us can. But it's important that when you find something worth fighting for, that's what you do. You show up and you give whatever it is that you have. Even if you only have 10% that day, but you gave that 10%, all of it, then you showed up 100%. But it's important that we all show up. Whatever that fight might be, whatever it is that you're called for, you show up. If you're called, go, do. You'll get qualified along the way, I promise. There'll be other people that maybe are more qualified and they'll show you. But if you're called, just go. Just do it.
And even
Ugh. And that
today,
includes art.
to everybody,
If your
I would
calling
like
Tell
is
to
you
art,
want to
do
stand
apologize.
it.
up and salute you right now, Markeisha.
To everybody, I would like to apologize that my daughter just keeps getting in the podcast. Unfortunately, we are going through some kind of phase that she won't go to sleep, and it was a fight, but I decided to do the podcast anyway because
See?
this was a form of art, and I figured that you know what, those who are gonna watch are still gonna watch, even with this fight
Yes.
with my daughter, and we appreciate you watching our art. Just wanted to put that
Yes.
out there.
And I'm glad that the baby gets to be a part of the art. She gets to be a part of it. One day she's
Okay,
going to
so
look
I
back and be
won't
like, oh,
cut her
that was
out.
me.
Because that was the intent. I'll leave her in. I'll leave her in.
It's real difficult. She started off, saying, "Mommy, I'm gonna go to sleep," because I told her I'm gonna leave you in the room by yourself. Please take a nap. And she's like, "Please, Mommy, no." Our family's going through a hard time right now, so I'm a little bit overly. I'm letting her get away with things. And sure
And that's
enough,
okay.
her father has some stuff to do, and she's not listening. And she said she's asleep, but now she's trying to get in every way she can, as you can see in the background. So
That's
thank you for
okay. The
still
baby get to be a
watching.
part of our art. That's okay. Children have space here. And oh, do you
All
guys
right.
think that artists have a responsibility to speak out on certain things? Do you think artists have any kind of obligation?
I think that's a
I
loaded question because the thing with
Yeah,
even people in
That's why I asked
general,
it.
people
yeah.
always try and mark one person as the person who influences the whole crowd. And I've almost always been that person in the room where when I go in a room, people are like, hey, you need to dress a certain way, you need to act a certain way. Sometimes when there's other black people, they think I need to act more black. Whatever that entails, or sometimes they'll be like, oh, you need to act more uppity because of the situation. And it's because I am a very loud person, and so people tend to pay attention to me. So since I'm so forward and I'm friendly and people are paying attention to me, people have always felt that I have to dress with longer clothes. Well, I have a butt, so there's no way for me to hide it. I have to dress a little bit more formal on top. I have breasts. Sometimes they're not hideable. My hair needs to be straight in certain situations, which if I don't feel like doing it, you know good and well I'm not going to. I should have shaved my legs because we
Well,
were
I
going
I hear
somewhere.
you, but I think we're talking about somebody with a very large platform, right?
Well, see, that's
Especially
the
people who
thing.
are
You
who
don't
are
have to
who
have
are
a large
reaching.
platform for
I
people
hear
to
you,
feel
but
obligated to do something.
I
That's where
hear
I was
you,
getting
but
to.
I think there's a difference in that because I do think that it can be a little bit of a tightrope walk for people
I
who
think
have a
they're
really
human at
large
the end of the day, and
platform,
everybody needs to see that they have gray areas of life because they won't always be perfect, no matter whether
and
it's
they might
Beyonce, Michael
and they might,
Jackson.
So I do think that certain people um should speak up, right? Um I think that like Barack Obama's doing an amazing job. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. He is a previous president. He could be like hanging out at home, sipping Mai Tais and watching the country burn. But he's not. And I do think that he feels the obligation to get out and make his voice heard because people respect him. And
Did you
I
see
think
his
people like
movie?
that. I did not. I don't watch real people.
Oh,
So
I know what you're talking about. I
You
know
would have
uh
exactly
loved
what you're
that
talking about.
movie.
would I? Okay, I'll check
Would
it
have.
out.
I couldn't remember
Are
the.
you talking about the ocean where he narrates the ocean thing?
What was it, Marquisha? Do you remember? I think it was on Netflix where
It was on Netflix. It's called, oh God. Hold on.
Talking
Obama
about where
it
he
was
praised
narrates
movie.
a
the
great
ocean.
movie.
No,
So
no,
while
no, no,
you're
no,
talking
no.
about that, just so I can finish my train of thought, what I was trying to say is yes, I may be small, but I make a huge impact. And people who have huge platforms, yes, it's not that they shouldn't try and make an impact. However, we should also be able to see that they're human and that they can make mistakes. Like when Britney Spears was going through whatever she was going through, and people started calling her crazy, or when Charlie Sheen was going through whatever he was going through, and people started calling him crazy, or even Robin Williams, who ended up committing suicide. These things happen because people put too much pressure. And yes, they have an obligation to try and do what is right. At the end of the day, we don't know how they grew up or their circumstances to tell them what is right. No one can judge that or form that for anybody, and none of us are God. So
Yeah.
while we sit here and keep on judging the next, we should look inside ourselves and try to fix ourselves instead of trying to keep slamming these poor people. These poor people who have the right to be human and don't need to be
I
idolized the
think
way
there's
people
a
do.
I think there's a difference between using a platform for good and then for with slamming them for not using it. So I do think that people who can should use their platform for good, right? Especially if you have the ability to reach a lot of people, they should. Now, do I think that they're obligated to do so? I think an obligation is kind of putting a little past what I would say. I think they should. If they don't, I kind of understand that too, especially people with families who can be adversely impacted by saying certain things.
Did you know that?
Mm,
Okay, and I
that's
understand where you're
convenient
coming
for them.
from. The platforms, right? Did you know? And my half brother used to work in Hollywood. Did you know that they have FBI agents and CIA agents on a lot of these um sets to make sure certain information is not given to the population, to to us. So they, what's the word am I looking for? They sanitize a lot of stuff. So we should be, yes, we have actors and actresses have certain platforms that are movies, to relay information. You got musicians trying to relay music, right? Our beloved Martin Luther King had his own platform back in the day. He was an activist. You see what I'm saying? And look what happened to him. So it's not like they're not utilizing the platform, or they is not there. There are forces beyond them, beyond us, that would not allow certain things to touch the general populace. And that is a
Mm,
fact. That's a fact. So it's not like they don't they don't want to. A lot of times they can't, and they're not allowed to, based on contracts and other things. We'll give you all the money in the world. You're going to sing this song, but you will not sing about this. What's the young black
Billie
black
Holiday.
singer? Not Billie Holiday. It was the other one. Was it Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit? Yeah, remember, have you ever
Yes,
seen that
thank
that
you.
movie?
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking.
Okay, where they gave her hell. They went after her. She was a beautiful voice, and they made a movie, and I watched it twice. And she sung that song Strange Fruit, and they did not want her to sing that song. They tried to shut her down. every chance they got. And they even tried to do a lawsuit against her for singing that song. So that was back in the what, 50s, 60s? Was using her voice to talk about the atrocities that was being done against black people.
As artists
Okay?
tend to do.
And but as I'm telling you, it's not that they can't, they are stifled. They are stifled. So I understand where you coming from, Jessica. You know, they got a platform, they should do this XYZ. What makes you think that they ain't trying?
Well,
What
I
here's
makes you
the
think
think?
some
thing.
are.
Back in the day, you in Billie Holiday's time, you had to be booked and signed to these shows and you had to be casted. There was a lot of hoops you had to jump through to get out there and put your message out there. And if certain people didn't open the door for you, it didn't happen. Right? It was easier to shut people down back then, but Billie Holiday still made it happen. And we
Mhm,
commend her and we look at her as an icon and a role model. Now, everybody has a platform. Anybody that wants to say something can get on Blue Ivy's internet and post a video or share a tweet or whatever. So if Billie Holiday did it back in the segregated times and everybody could gatekeep and so on, she still managed to do it. What
mhm.
excuse do we have now? Now, I see that Billie Holiday's story is a cautionary tale because the CIA, the FBI could show up, shut you down, ruin your life. I think
Even
actually,
Martin Luther
I,
King, they did the same
even
thing to
Martin
him.
Luther King, but they did it though. They made that ultimate sacrifice. So for us to have more creature comforts, more convenience, and more access and not be willing to make the same sacrifices, to me, feels like a moral failing to me. Now, I understand people go through stuff, and I'm not expecting people to be perfect. I'm not expecting people to be God, but I feel like there is a sort of moral obligation that we all have when something's not right to say, yo, that's not right, even if it doesn't impact me. I'm very much concerned about what's going on in this nation. I'm going to tell you right now, on January 6th, when that footage came out, I cried. I wasn't in Washington. I I don't have any family members that are police officers, but I cried because of the state of our nation. I was like, this is so sad to see. To have patriotism turned into something that's more like a poison and used against other people of our nation. I cried.
Did you know they
So,
let all of them out? Or most of them
yeah,
out?
because I follow
Yeah,
all of
because they
it.
were
I'm
pardoned.
very concerned. I'm concerned about all of it. So, I feel like we have that obligation to say that that's just not right. Even if I'm personally going through something, even though my life is hard and my life isn't being impacted by that, I just see it as an injustice. So I feel like, I got to say that's an injustice. It's not fair. It's not right. People deserve better. Nobody should be beat up on their job unless their job is getting beat up. If you're an MMA fighter, then that's different. But if you're not, you shouldn't be getting beat up and assaulted at your job. That's not okay. So while I understand we shouldn't look to people to be on these godlike pedestals to bestow their wisdom, I just feel like we as a people have a right to everyone in our proximity to say, this isn't fair. People shouldn't be treated that way. Do I care personally what a music artist has to say about politics? Not particularly because they're not a professional in that field. They may not be very well versed in it. But do I care personally that a person that has a large platform says, hey, I don't know a lot about politics, but I feel like everybody should be treated fairly? I do care about that. You don't have to dive into the weeds. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be an expert in the matter. But if you could tell right from wrong and you see something is very wrong, I feel like you have a responsibility to speak on it. And yes, you might lose money. You might lose your coin. You might lose some followers. But did you do the right thing in the end? Can you sleep at night? Is your conscience clear? Then I feel like at the end of the day, you still won. And there's still going to be people that are going to support you. Billie Holiday is loved and revered now to this day, even though they did that smear campaign, even though they did everything they could to ruin her life. And I don't
Mhm.
remember exactly how she died, but I think it was very tragic. And it was very messed up.
Did they
But
get
she's
her
still
back
loved and
into drugs
revered.
or something?
I think so. And I can't remember. I think she might have even
I think
died
she
in
was
a
in the
hospital,
hospital
like
or something.
handcuffed,
Yes, I think
handcuffed to her bed when she
I'm gonna
passed
watch the
away.
movie and find out. I'll let y'all know.
Okay, we'll circle back. But still, She was an artist. She used her artistry to speak to what was going on in her life, what she saw, even if it didn't impact her personally anymore, because, she was rich at this point. She wasn't being touched in that way. But she still used that artistry and that platform. And even though she was criminalized for it and just terrorized, she still stood on what was right. And now to this day, we still look at her as an icon, as an inspiration, and that is beautiful. So if you're going to lose a contract, so be it, but you didn't lose your humanity. I feel like that's a very important part of art
Yeah, we're losing our
and your
humanity.
platform. Don't lose your humanity for the money.
It's the
Don't use your
part that I
humanity.
think rubs me wrong is that people are willing to they see the influence that they have, right? And then they're like, "I'll use it to sell this lip kit, sell these shoes. I'll use it for somebody to go to this specific store or go to this website or go do this thing that will make me money. That will bring me influence, that will get somebody to do what I'm asking them to do because of my influence." That's when it becomes to me very self-serving, that they will not speak up for the good of others because they
Yeah.
see the platform that they have. They've seen the impact of the
They
platform. They've
monetized
seen
it.
stocks go up, right? They go and say, "Hey, go buy this coin, or go buy this lip kit. It sells out." They go to this store on this day at this time, and you see the line across, around the building. Okay, well, the same thing. You see people getting drug in the streets and say absolutely nothing, knowing that you could reach millions of people telling them how terrible this thing is. But for you, it's much more important to keep your image, to keep it pristine, and for
To
you
keep the
not
coins
to pick a
flowing.
side, keep the money
Yeah.
flowing. And so I get what Fair is saying. I get it, but I do think that, like, there is like a moral obligation. Now, is there an actual obligation? That is depending on the person. Maybe their morals just aren't really where they need to be anyway, right? So I don't have an expectation, I guess. Um, but
We're
I do
morally
feel like
bankrupt in this country.
I feel like
A
there's a
lot of
lot of
us.
people that are morally
It's the
bankrupt.
Sadly,
whole globe at this point. It's just sad. You can't go
it is
anywhere.
sad.
And it's just love everywhere. No matter where you go, there's bad people, and it's just sad to see that you can't even go. You can't even live in a community that helps each other anymore. Like I remember when I was growing up, you could go borrow sugar, and they would ask about your mama, and they'd know your cousins' names, and I can't even say, I don't know that many of my neighbors, and that makes me sad. Like I wish I knew more of my neighbors, but um, I guess everybody has their own lives. And back when I was growing up, no matter what people were going through in life, everybody's still connected. And that's what
Yeah.
made the community. And people try and say they want community. They're reaching out on Facebook. They're saying, "Hey, let's get together. Let's do this. Let's do that." But at the end of the day, if you can't even reach out to your neighbor to see if they're okay because their lawn is overgrown, or if you can't reach out to your friend that you haven't heard from in weeks because you've been too busy and you have a life and you have children and you're married and you have parents, if you can't even reach out to one of your siblings that you grew up with, who you might have even shared a meal with, how can you even think that there's any kind of community? Like everybody wants to say, well, oh, well, you don't know what I went through. You don't know this. You don't know that. At the end of the day,
Okay, well,
we
tell me
can
about
come
it.
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
tell me
crazy
about it.
because some people will listen and some people won't. You can ask a question and not really want the answer. People do that all the time. They're like, "Hey, how you doing?" And it's funny because I heard that "how you doing" is not supposed to be answered. What?
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Why'd you even bother
Yeah.
asking? Just say hello. If I don't want to know how you doing, guess what? I don't ask. I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not one of those people to put on that fake face. I either ask how you doing and I actually mean how you doing. I want to know. Or I say, hey,
Yeah.
how's it going? Or hey, da da da, go straight into my spiel. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend. If I go into a Walmart and I say, hey, how you doing? And somebody says, I'm actually having a crappy day, I stop and listen. I'm not gonna sit here and ask you how your day was. to say, "Oh, but I was just joking. I was looking for I was
That was a
looking for the
rhetorical
queen of aisle
question.
3."
I just
Ain't
wanted
no
the
Yeah,
sugar
it's
aisle.
rhetorical.
ridiculous.
Like, what are
It's
you talking
ridiculous.
about right now? You asked me how I'm doing. You better expect the full answer. And if you didn't want to answer, you better keep walking.
Yeah,
I'm the one. I'm the right
facts.
one to ask. I will tell you how my whole day
Okay.
went.
I'm the right one to ask. Be like, picture it, Sicily, 1982.
A whole
I just
spiel.
like wrote you a whole book. Well,
The
actually,
whole
when I woke
spiel.
up this morning, serious
You
thing,
really
I
want
slept wrong. I got a crick
The
in
crick
my
in my
neck.
neck.
everything.
like I
All
Everything.
actually
right.
want to
So
know when I ask somebody how your grandmother was, or if you had a bad day last week.
Beautiful that you
I'm not
remembered.
gonna remember what happened in my own life, but I might remember that one bad day you had last week, only because it felt so important to you that it
Yeah,
resonated with me to actually remember and ask. Now I might not
yeah,
remember the next time I see you, but I remembered at least that one time. Because you never know
yes.
how somebody's day is going to go. You never know whose day you're going to brighten just by asking, or even saying a simple hello. Walking down the street nowadays, people actually shy away from hello, give you
I
crazy
know.
looks. You're like, hello.
They
Yeah.
from New York. That's why I need to stop.
They're from New York.
gosh.
Up a
It's
very
even fun
interesting
now.
point why it's
Where
so
we live,
important for artists to make the art, because like Autumn was saying, she started making this art page for her, but it actually impacted so many other people and it has brightened their day. So even if you feel like your art isn't good, I promise there's somebody out there that enjoys it, that appreciates it, that's brightening somebody's day, and that art helps bring together community. It's all intertwined. It's
Hmm.
all intertwined. So don't shy
you get
away
to know
from your
people in
art.
every
Don't
way
shy
you
away
live.
from your neighbors. You don't know what kind of impact you might be having on their life. We're supposed to be
It's
more
funny
connected now
sometimes.
than ever since we have social media, but it seems like we're just all in our own little separate corners. Let that art bring you together. Let that art encourage you and your neighbors to actually commune.
People walk in your
Get
neighborhood and
together with
meet.
other art laborers. Yes.
You'd be surprised how many people, when you're walking by their houses, actually want to talk. When me and my daughter go for walks in this community, I don't get to know that many names, but I sure hear a lot of stories. And it's just from people who may not have talked to somebody for a whole week. You never
Yeah.
know.
Which is
Some people
insane.
don't have
Folks that be
family. Some
lonely.
people don't know how to
Yeah.
make friends. Some
It's
people
working
don't
from
know how to
home.
say hi. Your hi makes a difference in their whole spectrum. Like sometimes when I say hello, I get somebody crying. And then I need to stop and find out why they're crying. And you don't know. Some people don't talk to people for weeks at a time. It's crazy. It blows my mind. Like how they live in this world with so many people stacked on top of each other and haven't even
And
heard
still be
another
so
human voice.
disconnected. Mhm.
Yeah, that's just so sad to me. And then people are like, "Well, I want this. I need this." Are you reaching out for it? I know it's hard. It's hard to say hello to the next person. You don't know if they're gonna stab you, beat you, cuss you out. But all you can do is try.
Where you going to say hello, Fair? Like where
I
are we
know,
saying
right?
hello at? Stab you and beat you. My
I
God.
mean, we live in Orlando. Let's not pretend people don't give you dirty looks just for saying hello.
A dirty
You could
look
be
is
at the
not a
bus stop, be like,
stab or hit.
I've
Jesus.
had a knife pulled on me. I'm sure you've been
For
in
saying
neighborhoods
hello?
where been pulled on you just for saying
And,
hello.
and you
You
know
know
what,
people in certain
Farah?
neighborhoods with
I
certain
don't
colors.
think I've had a knife
Farah,
pulled
you
on me for saying
absolutely
hello.
correct because my neighbor just told me a week ago that this girl being polite. It happens like at a PetSmart. You hold the door for somebody, right? And you being kind, you being nice. You would think that you would get a thank you back, right? The person that went through the door did not say thank you to the person holding the door. Don't you know that that blew up to a point where the person that was holding the door is now dead and the person that went through the door is in jail right now? Two
Yeah, and it
women.
makes it difficult
Make
because
Two
you
more
women.
don't
art,
know
less
who's gonna snap on you
stabbings.
for something like
Make
that.
art, not murder.
And
That is the
I don't
I'll
know
put
solution
on
the
a shirt,
here.
I guess.
circumstance, but I
Make
can
art,
tell
not
I'm
you
murder.
trying to
they
tie
were
it
both
together.
probably already
I'm
having
just
a
trying
bad
to.
day.
They were both having
See,
a
that's
bad
the thing.
day.
You don't know who's having a bad day. You don't know whose mama just died. I don't know if y'all watched that movie. I think it's called Snap with Taji P. Henderson.
Taraji P. Henson.
I
Yes,
haven't watched
it's
it
a
yet,
very, very good movie. Please, if you get the chance, go and watch this form of art because he did his thing. I think it's by Tyler Perry. And when I tell
Yeah.
you that people don't know what you're going through in your life, and you just walk
but
around
you know what?
feeling
I'm
complete
scared to
sadness,
watch
and people just
something.
slam into you.
I'm scared. I wanted to watch it, but then what Jessica was
It's so
saying
realistic.
a while ago, what you ingest impacts you. So right now I'm living on a level of where I am conscious of what I ingest through my eyes and how it programs my
But if you
brain.
have the bandwidth for it,
And and on
It's a
watch
top of
it.
that,
very sad movie.
it
Don't
it
watch
is
it if you cannot take it. Because I'm going to tell you
exactly.
now,
So
it's
you
so
got to,
realistic.
like
It's
Jessica
such a
was
horrific
explaining,
scene of
you
what
got to
actually
be careful
happens in
about what
America
you
today
ingest.
and
So
how people treat each other.
yeah,
It's it's so sad. And it's I knew what was happening. From the beginning of the movie I could tell where it was leading. Because that's how realistic it is. And for a mother just to see something like that happen to another mother.
it's
Just
impacting you
Please don't.
now.
she
Please,
played that
please
part.
don't go into
She
details.
played that part. I'm not gonna go into this. Please, I know you. You gonna start crying right away. It, when I said all this to say, reach your hand out. Stop being so angry. I know I have angry moments. I do. I have a bad temper, and I'm trying to fix it because I don't want my daughter to grow up this way. I want her to be able to say hello. When my daughter, when I'm with her, she says hello to everybody. She has no kind of um she doesn't hold back. Well, she holds back. She's better than I am actually.
Be
I'm not
innocent
good
though.
at picking out good from bad people. She will immediately run to me and be like, "Nah, I don't want to say hello" if she feels like they're a bad person, and she has way more sense than I do in that department. However, for the most part, she goes and says hi. She shakes people's hands. She gives people. I let her give her a hug to some people, not everybody, because I try to be careful, but I'm not the best judge of character, like I said. But when she was a baby, people used to ask me, "How come you don't stop her?" I didn't want to turn off her light. I didn't want to kill that light that could be somebody else's brightness. And I want her to be able to differentiate between good and bad people because I don't have that kind of sense. I'm very gullible. I'm naive. I know it. And I have my friends for that, but she may not. So she's learning now between her father's no nonsense stuff and me want to help the whole world. She'll learn. But when we went to the airport, there was a lady who was down on her luck, and she gave this lady a hello, how you doing? Can I shake your hand? And she made that woman's day. I didn't know that woman had somebody who just died. You don't know who you're gonna impact, and that's why I don't want to stop my daughter in her form of expression. However she decides to be, I want to make sure that this world is good enough for her to shine that light. I don't want to stop that. And hopefully, maybe other people will see this message and they'll take into account their forms of art and what they're teaching their children and not dim their children's light. Because children have this natural light. And it's up to us to nurse that light. If we don't nurse that light, then all they can see is darkness. If we take away the light, then who are they going to turn to? So just that's food for thought because you never know who you're impacting and who you're choosing to show your children how they can impact. Because even now, my daughter has friends that they don't have other friends, and she's only 2. That doesn't make any sense to me. That kids can't share themselves because of how we're teaching them that we have to close ourselves off and that we can't rely on each other. We're made to rely on each other. We're made to love each other. We're made to give each other a hand. Hold your hand out to the next person and let them know you're not alone. Because we shouldn't be so lonely in this world filled with people sitting on top of each other. But everyone feels this sadness and this loneliness that we can all help find the light. So find your art, whether it's music or movies or books. Because something somewhere, there's some light for you. And I'm sure you could find it. Even in jazz or Opera. Those are some good things.
I was jazzing it out
So,
yesterday. You should have seen me.
yes.
You'd be
Okay.
surprised how many good forms of music there are. Listen to every type of
Yes.
music you can listen to. Reggae, reggaeton, R&B, country. Girl, get it in.
I
Listen to
love
some
that.
gospel, some Christian music, because there's a difference between gospel and Christian music. And boy, they have some good
Yeah.
music in both.
So, what kind of
Find
art
your
do you
niche
guys like to make? What kind of art do you like
music.
to make or do you particularly like to enjoy?
Music. I love music in every
Yeah.
form, shape, form, and fashion. Like I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to beat on stuff. The guy who was beatboxing last night in the bathtub, it was just the cutest little thing. And I was looking like, wow, this is something she's learning because I listen to so many different forms of music. Her little she's trying to learn how to blow raspberries just so she
Now you
could
got to learn
beatbox
how to
to it.
freestyle. Now you got to learn how to freestyle. So when she start beatboxing, y'all own it, you know?
Ain't you, Keisha?
That'd be so cute.
I actually do my own nails, right? So they're really simple now because I have too many projects going on. But I used to like look at different people's, nail designs and I would either like imitate it or change it up so it's something more like me. And I would spend literally all days doing my nails and painting it. And I even asked, my husband, I was like, does this count as a hobby? And he was like, no, technically that's not a hobby. I was like, dang it. But I disagree, okay? Because I'm doing these little intricate
It's
designs and then this
awesome.
and that. I'm putting art on my hands. That's a hobby. I don't care
I
what nobody
remember
say.
when you
Thank
picked
you,
it up
Go
baby.
ahead and
when
make it
we
a
were
point before I
when
come
we
for
were
you.
teenagers. I remember when you
Yes.
picked it up when we were teenagers, and you were like, you went to go get your nails done, and then you were like, I could do that,
I think specifically they
and
had
then
made me mad because I was like, this one
yes,
fingernail, I,
yes,
I could do
you're like,
this better. And sure
and then you went home
enough,
and you were like, I'll do French chips tomorrow, and you went and you were like, this it's a little harder than I thought, but
now I can
you
do a
went
French tip with
and
my
you did a
eyes
couple
closed.
like amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
What about
And
you,
I
Autumn?
ended up doing
Oh,
French tips on
sorry.
a tour bus once. All the kids were like, "Can you do mine like yours?" And I was like, "Okay." And I was in the back of the little bus doing French tips on
That
other
is
little
so cool.
girls. Mhm.
Oh my goodness. I can hardly fix my French tips. Like if it's chips, I'm like, well, I guess I don't have them anymore.
That's why we got to live next to each other
I
because I
can't.
would have had
I'm
you, girl.
like, I'm like, oh man, I messed it up. Like,
It's part of the process. It's part of the process. I promise you're doing good. Just keep
no, it gets
going.
worse. It just gets worse. I'm like, all right, I'll fix it. Hold on. I'll just cut the nail. That's it. I don't need nails.
I need nails no more. Never mind.
I
Never
don't
mind.
need. It's fine. What about you, Autumn?
I told you from the beginning. I mean, I'm into all kinds of forms of art. I used to be a
But
drummer.
what's your favorite? Oh, I
I used
didn't.
to be a drummer, and
I think you.
I
I
used to
think you
play the
mentioned
bass
that.
drum in high school. So my background is musical. So I like all kinds of music. Um, but I like to go to like performing arts and I like to take my babies to art shows, museums, all the typical stuff to keep them cultured. So and now that AI is prevalent now, I love making AI art. I even created my own AI avatar and stuff. So yeah, whatever interests me, with being creative, you'll catch me down that aisle. Yep. Music, creating all kinds of crazy art. Yeah, that's me.
But you
Yep.
just
What about you, Miss Jess?
besides your
I'm
mom
also a
bright
little.
desire business.
That is a large part. So I'm kind of all over the place. I've made music. I've written songs and recorded them. I didn't put any out, obviously. And of course, I have this side business that I'm Montbray Desir, and I create shirts, puzzles, tumblers. So I create a bunch of different designs. And then I right now I'm into gardening, so I love taking pictures of the flowering plants. So I've been into photography for a very, very long time. I was into photojournalism in high school. So
Yeah.
very much into photography, and especially landscape. So when I travel, if I go somewhere for a week, I probably have 500 or 600 pictures. So it is all over the spectrum. I love museums. If I go anywhere, I love to go see museums, and see, like, locally what historically, but also regular artists who paint things, and where their mind is at, and if I'm standing next to somebody, I kinda do the ear hustling while I'm listening to them think out loud about what they think the art looks like, and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't see that at all." "A dog?
Dang, you messing
A
them up.
dog.
They're being
No.
deep thought.
Uh, you they're
Have you
underwater.
ever been to
That's not a
Colorado?
fish?
Is it Colorado? With all those cows? They have like cows
Which
like everywhere that are painted differently. Is that Colorado? Help me out because
I
you know
don't
my memory's
remember. I don't
terrible.
remember where
I
we
want to say
were.
it's
Where were
Colorado.
we?
I think it was Colorado. It's actually really cool. Like throughout the whole state, there's a bunch of different statues of cows in different positions, painted differently. Like one might be a map of a different
Okay,
bunch of
maybe
different
I'm
towns, and another one might be like some weird bows and
that's actually
stripes.
really cool. I would love to go
It's
on a
so
tour.
cool. I want to say it was Colorado, but you know, I've traveled so many places, and my memory's so. Eh.
Yeah, I wanna know the weirdest place that I went to what was considered art,
Where?
a sex museum in Amsterdam, and there was a
Oh, that must have been lovely.
huge
This is
phallus
my kind of place.
I
that
want
I
to go
took
to
a
there.
picture that
I
I
actually
took
used
a
to love
picture next
selling
to.
things for that particular form of
Field
art.
trip.
I
I
would
think that's a
never
very good
forget
form of
that.
art.
It was a museum. It's I don't know if it's still standing today, but I was like, "Yo,
Road
this is
trip.
strange as hell."
Just
We're
saying, we got to
going.
get all of us together. That's for
We're
when
going to
those
take this show
podcasts
on the
all get to
road.
go.
That's right.
All right. So,
We got to suck
on
it
this
up.
episode, yeah. Uh, so on this episode, we talked about, how life imitates art, what type of art we've been impacted by over time, and the influence that it can have on our lives, what we input, how we digest all of that information, and kind of whether or not people who do have these artistic platforms have a responsibility to use them for good. We also talked about what type of art that we specifically like, each one of us. And in the comments, tell us what type of art you like. Maybe suggest something to us that maybe we didn't talk about in the episode, or you think that we'd like based upon what we've spoken about on the episode. Thank you for joining us again on Different Walks Serious Talks. Have a great day.